fact, our guys have just taken down one of the migrant guys right here on the corner, 42nd and 7th, while all this is
Can you pan the camera?
They've taken over. They've taken over. He is out of control. Out of control.
There. All right, now.
That was Sean Hannity's interview with Curtis Sliwa.
Curtis Sliwa.
You just say it real quick so people don't
Sliwa.
know that you're mispronouncing it. Okay, great.
Okay.
Founder of the crime prevention vigilante group, the Guardian Angels, which has been around for literally decades, and we'll get to their history in just a minute. Now, they've been active in New York's surging migrant crisis, and during that live interview on Fox News, members of his group accosted who they alleged was a shoplifting illegal immigrant. Now, it turns out that wasn't the case. All right, so after Fox showed the group restraining the man, Sliwa went back to give an update on the situation. So let's take a look at that.
Well, he had been shoplifting first. The Guardian Angels spotted him, stopped him. He resisted. And let's just say we gave him a little pain compliance. His mother back in Venezuela felt the vibrations. He's sucking concrete. The cops scraped him off the asphalt. He's on his way to jail.
Now, he claimed on Wednesday that the incident first began. It started when the man hit a female guardian angel, prompting the group to initiate a citizen's arrest. Now, luckily, the group's members are unarmed, so there was no potential threat of anyone dying from a gunshot wound here. But Sliwa said during the Fox News broadcast that the man was a migrant who had been shoplifting. He told NBC News that he based that information on what people in the crowd said and alleged that the man had a backpack that contained baby clothes with tags on them. He also said he had believed the man was a migrant because he had been speaking Spanish.
Oops.
Okay, and because other guardian angels had encountered him with other Spanish speakers on previous patrols. I don't know if they know this. This is a diverse country with people who speak all sorts of languages. It doesn't automatically mean that the person speaking a foreign language is an undocumented immigrant. But anyway, according to a New York Police Department spokesperson, officers arrived to find a man detained by bystanders after he allegedly tried to disrupt a live interview. Police said the man had been issued a disorderly conduct summons because he had been acting in a loud and threatening manner on a public sidewalk. But what the police clarified was that the man in question was not, in fact, a migrant. He was a New Yorker who's been residing in the Bronx. Plus, they provided no evidence that he had shoplifted. Unsurprisingly, Sean Hannity had issued absolutely no apology for this mistake. There was no correction despite Sliwa's claims being shot down by law enforcement. Asked about airing the confrontation live during Hannity's show and Sliwa's claim without proof that the man had been restrained, that the man that had been restrained was a migrant, Fox News said in a statement that the situation took place during a live television broadcast and that the network had updated its audience as more information became available from the NYPD.
When?
And Sliwa, for his part, says that it is possible he wasn't a migrant. Or yeah, is it possible he wasn't a migrant? Of course, after he was asked about the situation.
Oops.
And finally, New York Governor Kathy Hochul condemned the Guardian Angels' actions. Let's just take a look at what she had to say and we'll move on.
You cannot take the law into your own hands. You know, NYPD, among the finest on this planet, they work hard every single day and we support them. It is their responsibility to take care of this, not individuals. And so I reject the premise that anyone can take the law into their own hands. Then we have chaos. This is not the Wild West. This is New York State.
So look, what the Guardian Angels did here was wrong. You shouldn't profile people and you shouldn't take what the allegations are against others at face value. Maybe do a little bit of investigation before you decide to physically attack people who have been accused of wrongdoing.
So I have two totally different thoughts on this. One is, of course, like these morons, their evidence was he was speaking Spanish. Same exact thing Marjorie Taylor Greene said when she thought she had spotted an illegal immigrant. Really? I mean, I'm so stunned by how stupid people are. You think everyone who speaks Spanish is an illegal immigrant? It's just so dumb. It's painful to talk about. Okay, now, having said this, why do the guardian angels exist? So they started all the way back in 1979. When I was growing up in the New York area in the 1980s, they were in the news 24/7, and I remember watching that all the time, right? And so the reason was because back then there was crazy crime. If you think crime is bad now, it was totally out of control in the 70s and 80s, okay?
Don't worry, we're working on it, Jim.
Yeah, I know, we're getting there. So, so the guardian angels rose up because whether you like it or not, whenever there's a lot of crime, vigilantes come in to fill the void. Now, vigilantes are a terrible idea because they make dumbass mistakes like this and they don't know what they're doing and they're not trained and they create more violence, creating even more work for the cops, okay? But having said that, the guardian angels never went away. It's just after the 1980s, no one cared about them anymore because crime had started to go down. And it went down so substantially that everybody forgot about Curtis Sliwa and the guardian angels. But now they're back. And they're back because crime is back. It's not that they went away, it's that their coverage went away and their need, the perceived need for them went away. But now people feel a perceived need again. So hence, that's why they're out and doing things like this. So the answer to vigilante violence is better, you could argue more, and just law enforcement. So if you have law enforcement that actually does its job and prosecutors who do their job and they keep the population safe and they do it in a way that is just, then you don't need vigilantes at all. That's the whole point of the law enforcement, is to do that job, right? But when citizens feel like they're not getting that from cops and prosecutors, vigilantes will rise whether you like it or not, and that's what you're seeing, and that's why this is happening.
So I wanted to learn more about this guy because I'm completely unfamiliar with him. And I agree with you that vigilante groups can actually make situations more dangerous. You know, their whole objective might come from a good place, it might start from a good place, but it ends up causing more harm than good, especially when, you know, they're not trained as law enforcement. And more importantly, in the example we gave you in this story, they just profiled the guy, right? And just assumed that he was an undocumented immigrant who was engaging in crime when there was no evidence of that. But I went back and came across a 1981 Washington Post piece on the guardian angels, and I thought it was really fascinating. So Joyce Wadler at the time wrote that the group is the guardian angels. I can't believe this. They number over 700 in New York City, with groups spreading across the country. Their avowed goal, in the words of their leader, 26-year-old Curtis Sliwa, is to bring back the values of 40, 50 years ago, when the only criminals in the streets were racketeers. I mean, I don't want them either, but
yeah,
okay.
Back then there was like a significant mob. I don't know if that was the good old days.
No, seriously. When you could leave the house with the door open or fall asleep on the roof. But here, get a load of this. Mayor Edward Koch appointed his criminal justice coordinator to investigate the guardian angels, and that report was so positive that the guardian angels will soon be awarded some sort of official status.
Oops. So that was way back
81.
in the day. Yeah,
81.
And by the way, since then, in the 80s, after 81, they did a bunch of clownish things. So they're not the good guys. But again, whether it's organized groups or much more prevalent will be just local vigilantes that go, I've had enough of this crap, because the cops aren't showing up in LA, New York, San Francisco, et cetera. And if they do, prosecutors are letting people off. So you can get super mad about it, but you'll see more vigilantes going forward. That's just the nature of how things work when crime is not addressed.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.